happen is you need to perfect this stuff, okay, and then you need to spend a lot of time and make that shit real accessible to idiots, because there's a lot of them out there. Okay, and then what we need to do is pay you a lot of money, and then everyone in a home has one, so the world becomes more sustainable.
Well, luckily,
I think that's a good way to do things.
That's a master plan. But when you said you do this and you do that, but there is an abundance of people like me, except better than me, and except with more free time than I have, that are out there doing this stuff. And it's, if you look at it in terms of numbers, I mean, we're talking like, who's building open source printers? Maybe 5,000-6,000 people around the world. But, you know, these 5,000-6,000 are really going to change the world.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
And they're all pretty active.
This is one of those things that could possibly, you know, in the time span we need it to before anything else can take it over or destroy it or whatever. Do you think that this is one of those things that can completely revolutionise the world, third world to first world to?
I absolutely, honestly believe that.
So that's the magnitude of what we're talking about at the moment.
Because think about, I mean, you process that device, okay? Technology already exists in a closed source market to print metal. So you'd be able to print like household appliances out there, but there's nothing stopping you. Again, the same technology prints circuit boards. Circuit boards are what make up all these electronics, you know, boom, 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 the microphones, the computer, the LEDs that we're observing at the moment. So we're like enmeshed in this ecosystem of technology.
Certainly,
And the more people have the power to modify that ecosystem around them to make pieces of it, the more power is distributed amongst the ground level.
Certainly.
I mean, I'm not talking about the heads of corporations or the bureaucrats that run the European Union, the trade pacts, the World Bank, etc. We're talking, some dude in a garage that may not even understand the geopolitics or the nefarious nature of the capitalist system, may just like pick up that 3D printer, do some modifications, and make it infinitely better, and he's going to change the world. It won't be like some guy in a protest or a revolutionary movement.
It's all global collaboration.
Certainly. But that's what I mean.
Like, trying to achieve the same goal.
By the time that this machine becomes sort of, residentially viable, do you not think that with, the capitalist nature of the world that we live in, do you not think that, someone will see that in the makings and go, well, shit, there's something to build on here and to make money on, can they not then sort of get that and mass produce it faster than what
they are trying to hijack the open source?
You know what I mean? Like, is that the problem we're facing now?
One of the things I wanted to point out is that I watched a couple of videos on CNN, and they were
closer
here.
Yeah, you're in. You watched a couple of videos on CNN.
Yeah, and basically they were presenting 3D printing as the ultimate consumer good in a sense. Because they were printing out like puppets with your face on them, or like
that's incredible.
Just silly stuff. And but the point is, you can print that out like one every day and throw it away the day after. What they fail to address and what they don't want people to know and to understand is that if you break down something in your house and you have a 3D printer, you can make it again. Print it out like at a fraction of a cost.
So that's also something else. Like if we're talking about maintenance of a house, that means that like once again humans, in a way have to be connected back to being able to actually do shit and understand how things work. Now with money and with people's time have to be at work and that they can't figure out how to actually fix something with plumbing in the house or how this works. It connects them back to, so, you get a plumber out, you pay them a lot of money and then they do it. But, the thing is, if you can start printing your own things and that, takes off, then you have to actually connect yourself back to actually how everything works and what everything does if you want to save a lot of money.
The production line to you, so you're cutting out all the middlemen. And
but then not to the point that you go and buy in the shop, but to the point that you're actually having to fix the thing yourself,
It's
basically.
like you working in a little factory.
You know, there's no point hiring someone to put your 3D printer fucking in the, you know, a new pipe from your 3D printer to your house. You have to figure out how to do that yourself.
Yeah, so that means that then every household would have to have one. You couldn't have like one double-sized one in one house who took care of that and then they couldn't
Not necessarily at all.
Well, the point of it is you're trying to say is that you're back to the front lines with that production line and you are...
Yeah. You can either have like access points. Suppose that you have a community room with a couple of 3D printers that are available for say.
Like a library.
500
party
people.
attacks or something. It's a library.
You go there. Maybe you design it in your own spare time at home. You go there with a USB stick.
No, that makes sense.
There you go. And in 2 hours you're back. You've got your product.
Just go to, it's like going on an
Easy.
ATM.
So, but like, to give people an idea of where the 3D printing situation could go, we're not talking about like just, you know, spoons, forks and everything. You know, eventually, you know, why stop there? We're talking about, in instances, cars and houses even. You know, there's a
computers, for sure.
Yeah.
Computers, computer parts, you know, see, when you start thinking about that sort of stuff, then that just shows you the enormity of what, you know, they can do. You know, it just depends. Like, you can't even comprehend what it would take to 3D print a car. Like, my brain can't even go into that.
Like 53
Can you?
minutes times like.
Well,
what you just have to have like all the tire tubes, or like rubber tubes.
You can just imagine. I mean, firstly, you need to powderize.
No, because the thing is that
you manage. That's the table.
Everything has to have
but if you think about like, well, Wikispeed, I think they did that. Like, they totally revolutionized. You know about Wikispeed? Like, it's this open source online collaboration about car production, and they actually 3D printed most of the car parts.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. And that's a totally open source project and everything. Like, of course, you have to have like 3D printers that are bigger than this one in order to produce bigger items. But you can definitely do it. And at the same time, I think it will be the ultimate like supply meets demand in a sense.
Surely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Directly. There's no
right.
assumptions about people and judgments that what I'm going to predict.
You don't have to have a stock of items and like investing in marketing in order to sell them. As soon as somebody needs something, it just goes and he gets it. Like one-on-one, no waste of stuff on shelves.
What are we going to do with all the people that don't have jobs then?
Well, you get to a point where you don't need money anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think
I'll get off the track. Actually, I wanted to.
Guys, can I have a suggestion? It'd be you raised a real point, like a really, really good point. What are we going to do when some technologies like 3D printing come along with all these people that used to manufacture the stuff that don't know what to do with it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take like a 1 minute break to check that the video is all sweet and good, and we're going to get back straight into the point of what is going to happen when this technology that creates an abundance hits the market system and creates, 50% of employment.
Well, it happened thanks to the economic crisis that we're having. Like,
that's right.
A lot of people kind of they cannot make ends meet, so they started looking around and see why is it happening.
I've got some not so perfect news. Mm-hmm. The sound you heard there a second ago was the sound of our sound system turning on.
Ah, really?
So we've just actually returned to air, and the point where we left off, was we were talking about.
Well, I won the argument, and
we're talking about the inevitability of people losing their jobs if they work, especially in service industry and manufacturing.
Yeah.
That the ATMs are replacing people, the robots are replacing people, the machines are replacing people.
Self-service kitchen.
Yeah.
And, like, what we can do to help the transition.
Yeah.
How people can become aware of the fact that this is the inevitable future that we're going to live under, where that 9-to-5 job for every single Australian, for instance, is not going to exist.
Yeah, definitely.
And, see how we can become proactive. Now, maybe it's an advantageous thing for the fact that we've talked for 18 minutes prior to actually starting.
There was some really good shit there, hey?
There was some really good. I was like...
Solved the problem.
Yeah.
Bottom of it.
We figured it out.
We'll remember half, probably, but...
We will remember half. I mean, but let's go firstly of... Let's ask this question. Like, what happens if this collapse, planned or just organic, starts happening through more automation, more 3D printing, more algorithms answering your telephone calls?
Yep.
Like, what happens when 3-4 million Australians have lost relevance to their lives because they can no longer work as bank tellers, call centers, and factory floor workers?
Go through a period of wondering what it is they would actually do.
So what happens when unemployment starts hitting like 30-40%?
I mean...
So, and do you think that this, what sort of timeline?
They're the ones losing
What?
their jobs.
Yeah.
It's not the people at the top. So what's going to have to happen is people are going to have to get over the fact of thinking that people should have to work and caring about them staying home all day. And that's
the thing is this funny psychology. It's sort of like, when you talk about this stuff, some people go, you just can't have fucking people sitting home all day doing nothing. And I was like, well, why do you care what they do? Like, what is it because you don't like your job? Because it is you don't like your job that you are saying that other people can't stay home and do what they do? I think if you're talking about any sort of human nature characteristic, human nature is to try and be productive, not just sit around and watch TV. And the thing about, like, who the fuck is going to be making the TV if everyone's not getting paid? It's
Sean,
such a silly argument.
I believe you're right, but I believe people are never let to discover their productive side. Because see, if you're sitting there, I think for anybody, there's got to be a limit to how much World of Warcraft you could play.
There fucking is, man. And then Darwin could come into it and go, because you died from playing it for 3 hours straight, for 30 hours straight. That actually has happened in a number of cases. Yeah, man.
It really happened, yeah.
Do you know that? Yeah.
Like, not starvation, thirst.
Who was telling me, do you know that there is actually people in China, do you know that there's people in China who play World of Warcraft for a living, like 16 hours a day, and sell their make-believe gold to other players online? Like, just 7 hours a day, there's like companies set up like, call centers, people just playing World of Warcraft, getting gold and selling it.
Oh, Sean.
People are, But where is the food coming from to keep people alive? That's where the
Have you guys
have you
heard of Agenda 21?
Yeah.
Agenda 21.
Yeah, it's this vague thing, but it's an idea like founded by the UN of a future.
Not that vague.
It's not that vague. It actually gets pretty specific if you read.
No, thank you.
You good? Want a beer?
No, there's still plenty
of
Now, Agenda 20, it's this idea, right, that all of us move into the city, we live in high-rise buildings, and we live, if we don't have a productive job, we live our lives out in typically like World of Warcraft scenarios. We live half our life in some virtual reality on the 150th floor in a tall building, while they leave the nature out to recover.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a typical kind of like slave owner, mega corporate, bureaucrat controlling type of outlook, meaning like human beings are just like a cancer in the earth, and what we're gonna do is, because we're nice, if we weren't nice, we'd just like get a virus and kill them all, but because we're nice, we're just going to stick them in these tall buildings and just like walk them off, feed them with enough plastic so they become sterile.
Yeah.
And they're just going to, live out their lives in virtual reality.
What?
And the nature's going to recover, and us Rockefellers are going to save the world.
Certainly, yeah. That's a good cartoon. You should write a play.
Containing the damage in a sense.
And that scenario
is
officially being proposed by thousands of NGOs and UN itself. I mean, the Agenda 21.